What is up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel where faith fuels strength. And in today's video, I got 7 signs that I had cancer. But before we get into that, obviously, as you guys can see from that intro, I'm in an empty house right now. So if you watched my last video, you'll know that me and my wife just moved. We moved last Thursday, so by the time I'm recording this, it has been 1 week exactly. It's been great so far. We got a warm welcome from some friends at the gym and also a new church. So super excited. Can't wait for our stuff to get here. And especially my camera for you guys. I'm going to have some more crispy content. So that all being said, quick disclaimer for this video. This is not medical advice. It's just my own experience. And hopefully it can help you guys or just be interesting at the very least. Before we get into the first sign though, please, if you don't mind, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like, comment, share, and all that good stuff. Let me know how you guys like this video. If you want to see more of it, let me know. Okay, symptom number 1 is fatigue. Now, this wasn't regular fatigue. This was a constant, persistent fatigue that didn't really make any sense. You know, I was sleeping good, eating good, exercising, doing all the right things. And I could not shake this unwavering tiredness that I had. And it started probably at least 6 months before I actually got my diagnosis. And it was pretty unusual. I thought maybe, okay, I guess I'm getting old, even though I'm still only 23. At the time I was 22. So pretty strange. Couldn't quite explain it. I never paid too much mind to it. I just was trying to, I guess, sleep better, eat better, and all that stuff. But I pretty much already did all those things as best I could. So, especially in the gym, I could feel this. So stuff that I could usually take, for example, I used to train 4 days a week and I used to play sports and all kinds of stuff, but even 4 days a week training was too much for me. So me and my coach dropped it down to 3 days, and I was basically doing the bare minimum that I could do to pretty much just maintain, not even progress. If anything, I was getting weaker, which was super strange because, I mean, if any of you know who my coach is, his name is Marcellus Williams. Go check out his channel. It's called The Swolefessor. If you're interested in powerlifting or fitness or even just good life lessons, he has a great YouTube channel. I watch all his videos. But point is, he's a great coach. And for me to not be progressing and barely maintaining, it was definitely strange and unusual. So I would say, you know, everybody gets tired. Everyone has a little bit of fatigue here and there, but this was just out of the ordinary and persistent and overwhelming, really. It was pretty debilitating, even well before I got my diagnosis. But as I got closer, it just got worse and worse. So that is symptom number 1. Now, the second symptom was a cough. Now, I developed this cough, I think, about 4 months before my diagnosis. At first, I thought it was a cold. I usually get a cough when I get a cold or maybe a runny nose or something. But there was nothing else associated with the cough. I didn't have a sore throat. I didn't have any mucus, nothing like that. It was just the cough by itself. And it was a really scary sounding cough. Especially when I got closer to my diagnosis. But at first it was, like I said, I think about 4 months, and then it kind of went away. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's just a cold. By the way, it's probably good to mention that the year leading up to my diagnosis of cancer, I was getting sick a lot more often and also just staying sick. Usually if I get sick, I fight it off pretty dang quick, but this past year, it would usually take me several weeks to fight off just like a cold or something. Yeah, like I said, back to what I was saying about the cough, It went away and I thought, okay, it's just a cold. And then it came back. And then once it came back, it lingered for a while. And then as we got closer to my diagnosis, it got really, really bad. And it turned into more of like a wheeze cough. And it was really, really bad. Actually, at one point, I even woke up in the middle of the night, or I was actually up already because I was in some pain from a headache. I'll get into that later on in this video, but I kind of crunched up and then this huge just wheezing noise came out of me and it sounded horrible. I've never made a noise like it in my life and it was really scary. It sounded like, I guess, probably similar to something like an asthma attack. So somebody's like, I know my brother, he used to have asthma as a kid and I would hear him have these wheezes. I guess it's probably most comparable to that. So it's super scary and unsettling, especially at night. But yeah, that is symptom number 2. Okay, hopefully that doesn't fall over this time. I think we're good. So number 3 was weight loss. Now, for me personally, losing weight, if anything, is pretty hard. At the very least, I maintain weight very well. Now, by the way, these aren't in any particular order. I tried to make it in order as best I could, but obviously there's overlap. But around the time I noticed the weight loss was a little bit late, probably 2 or 3 months from my diagnosis. So like I said, losing weight for me is kind of hard. And actually at the time, I was eating more than usual because I was trying to gain weight. Hopefully you guys have watched my other videos, but if you don't know, I was living in Italy at the time. So I kind of chalked it up to healthier food, less bloating, stuff like that. So I thought maybe that's why I was losing weight. My regular weight's about 200 pounds, but I was 195 despite eating more. That was definitely a red flag that I probably should have noticed sooner on. But like I said, there was other variables that kind of, I guess, acted as somewhat of an excuse or a reason why that might be happening. But definitely, obviously, that is not the case. And one of the biggest signs of lymphoma, I think specifically, is weight loss. So hindsight's 2020. Obviously, that's why I was losing weight. But at the time, I just thought, well, I guess it's Italian food. I guess it's that good, which may have played a slight role, but I really don't think the way, like how strict I am with my eating, you know, calories in, calories out, it didn't make sense that I was losing weight at all. All right, I'm back with Murr the cactus here. So symptom number 4 was night sweats. Now this one's a little bit gross. And again, this was not just any night sweats. This is like, I'm talking waking up in a literal puddle of sweat and having to change my clothes, change the sheets. It was disgusting. I don't understand how it works exactly, but it is another sign of lymphoma. I'm pretty sure if you like Google it. Again, this isn't medical advice. This is just what I experienced. So night sweats was a big one and definitely pretty gross and really annoying too. It was like almost every night I'd be waking up super sweaty, uncomfortable, not even necessarily hot. I mean, sometimes I would be. I'm sure I had fevers all throughout this. I just never checked. But obviously if you're having night sweats, you probably have a fever. And then, especially because when I was in the hospital, I was still having night sweats, and usually every night I would have a fever, which is kind of crazy. I didn't even think about that really. So yeah, that is symptom number 4. I don't know. Symptom number 5 was itchiness. This one was pretty weird, but I think it's one of the biggest signs of lymphoma. Again, if you Google it, take it with a grain of salt. This one was a lot more obvious though. It was like, as I scratch my head, I hope I'm not scaring you guys with these symptoms because they can be pretty common. Like I said in the beginning, just take it with a grain of salt. If you're concerned about it, talk to your doctor. But anyways, so it would mostly happen at night and it would be pretty much all over my body. And it felt like all my skin was dry, which it probably was, which didn't help. But this was like, You could not satisfy the itch, and it was everywhere. And I'd be laying in bed with my wife at night, and she would just be going ham on my back with her nails and my head, my neck, my shoulders, my back, my legs, everything. Yeah, it was just weird. Stuff you would never really think about. And I didn't know that it was a symptom until afterwards. And when they mentioned it to us, I can't remember if we like Googled it or if they actually said it to us, but I was like, oh wow, yeah, I definitely experienced that. Again, I'm scratching my head, but don't worry. So yeah, that's number 5. Definitely a weird one, but probably like one of the more obvious signs, because some of the other ones like cough and losing weight, that could kind of happen to anybody, and fatigue, that it's just like basic symptoms. But this one is a little bit different. All right, now for number 6, I paired 2 together, which is nausea and lack of appetite. This one I think started, it's hard to say really, because like I said, they all overlapped. But nausea, to be honest, is something I'm still struggling with. I don't know if any of you guys experience this. It's kind of weird, but it's like when I'm in a small space, or I'm not claustrophobic, it's more like an anxiety thing. It's so hard to describe, but basically like if I'm sitting in a group of people and there's not really like an easy way out, and something like that, some sort of environment where it feels closed, not like literally like a small environment, but just like socially, I guess. I don't feel like I have a lot of social anxiety, but for whatever reason, I sometimes just get nauseous and I feel like I might throw up, and it's pretty stressful because then I have to like calm myself down or go and get water or something. And it's literally never happened. I've never thrown up in a scenario like that ever in my life. So maybe it's something to do with like throwing up so much in the past couple years due to all of my sickness, but don't exactly know. But back to before my diagnosis, I also had a lack of appetite for sure, especially the closer and closer I got. It was just really hard to get down food and nothing seemed appetizing. Even my wife's cooking, if you guys have seen my wife's cooking from my Instagram or something, you know that you got to be really not hungry to want that stuff. Yeah, definitely strange and unlike me, which is pretty funny because when I started chemo, once I got out of the hospital, I was so hungry. I was hungry like all throughout, just like starving. So pretty weird, definitely not typical with chemo. Usually people have little to no appetite and they're nauseous. I actually didn't experience a lot of nausea on chemo either, but I did before getting my diagnosis. So a little weird, definitely a typical sign though for other people. Just the way I experienced it was a little bit different. So yeah, that is number 6. All right, guys, now it is time for the 7th and final symptom. But before I let you guys know, again, please just subscribe, like, comment, share. Let me know if you guys like this video. And if you have any questions on any of these things, definitely comment down below. And maybe I can even do a video on it to go into more depth. So, symptom number 7. This one was definitely what kind of pushed me over the edge to go seek help and find a doctor to see what is going on. It was definitely very alarming. So number 7 is an elevated heart rate and trouble breathing. And also, you know what? I completely forgot, but migraines was a big one too. And I'll pair all these 3 together because this is what I experienced mostly in the last month before I went back to the States and all that you guys know, hopefully. Go watch my cancer story if you haven't already. It'll explain everything that happened. But I guess this is kind of like a prequel leading into it. So, elevated heart rate for sure. It started at probably around 100, then it went to 110, 120, 130, 140 even at times. So it definitely progressively got worse as I got closer and more sick. It's really scary. Even just walking around, I'd be out of breath, or talking, I'd be out of breath. So obviously I knew there was something really, really wrong. And I think my wife at this point had the feeling that this was much, much bigger than we thought. Definitely the scariest symptoms and the worst symptoms for sure. So at some points, I couldn't even really control my heart rate. It would get to the point where I'd have to just lay down and try to calm myself down, because obviously I'd be checking my watch and I'd see like 135 and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, it would stress me out even more and just make it even worse. So that was my tipping point. I think I started going to the doctors in Italy on the army base for like at least a month before we ended up going back to the States. Like I said, go watch my cancer story to hear more about that. Oh, and right, so the migraines. So like I said earlier in this video, I would go into more detail about it. So remember when I was talking about that night where I woke up wheezing? So on that same night, this was actually New Year's. So we were in Florence, Italy, celebrating New Year's, and they were popping off fireworks everywhere. We were in the city. It was all smoky and dry and cold, and it was really hard for me to breathe. I didn't want to complain about anything or like be a party pooper. I just tried to like, muscle through it. But we drove back home and I came back and laid on the bed, and then I just got this excruciating migraine. I started to get these migraines about a week before this, but this night was like no other. Like I could, man, it was terrible. It was several hours long. It kept me up the whole night, practically. So like I said before, I was like wheezing as well. I leaned up and let out this weird, scary sounding wheeze. And yeah, the migraines were terrible. There was like a 3-day period where I basically didn't sleep at all because I was just up all night with migraines. And for whatever reason, they would mostly happen at night, and pretty much nothing could stop it. Definitely one of the most painful things I experienced through all of this. Nothing compared to some of the stuff in the hospital. And so definitely go check that out if you guys are interested. It's called My Cancer Story. I think that's gonna do it for today's video. Those were, I guess, 8-ish. Paired a couple of those symptoms together, but please subscribe, like, comment, share. Let me know if you guys are interested in me going into depth on anything else. That all being said, super excited to be in this house, super thankful. I just feel so blessed. God has blessed me and my wife tremendously through all of this, and I really can't complain. And I'm happy to share with you guys everything I've been through. Hopefully this has been cool for you guys to watch, interesting or helpful even. And thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. And yeah, guys, just remember, when we are weak, then we are strong. God bless, guys.